Hey there, welcome back to the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel. I'm Carrie Rhodes and I'm going to be sharing with you today a sneak peek at a new product coming out on May 5th. It's the Floral Twinkle Slimline die. It is a very intricate and beautiful die. I'm going to use it today to create a slimline Mother's Day card. So here you can see the die cut out. There are lots of detailed tiny little pieces in this die. So having a tool is very helpful to get those out. You can brush over it on the front and the back and use the pokey tool to poke out any that don't want to fall out. Also, I ran this through my die machine forward and back with a piece of copy paper as a shim, and I was able to get all the fallout pieces to fall out. I'm going to mount this onto a gel press print that I have in my stash, but also note, if you run it through your die machine forward and back with the shim, you could separate that border that the die creates. So I'm just going to be careful with mine and glue it in place. I just had that one little spot where it separated a little bit. So I've added glue to the back and gluing it over the top of my paper here. Now you could use any like alcohol background or maybe some ink smooshing like background. I love my gel press. I have a lot of prints on hand, so this is a really good way to use those up with a cover plate die. So I trimmed away the excess, and you can see here I have that nice border, so you could leave it like that and it would fit your 8.5 by 3.5 inch card perfectly. Or you can cut away right on that embossed line, and then you have a piece that you can mount to a slimline card and you'll have a border around it. So I love that option. So I cut mine away and I'm mounting this to my slimline card. And then I'm bringing in this beautiful foiling floral plate with some aura foil, and I'm going to create a piece that I can put on top of this pattern. So I have my foil pretty side up, my plate face down, and then I'm going to put the whole thing face down onto my preheated Glimmer Hot Foil machine. I put the spacer pads on top, press the timer. When that timer goes off after about a minute, I remove the entire dock, run it through my die cut machine. The pressure and the heat transfer that foil onto the paper. Next, I'll bring in the coordinating die to die cut that out. It is so beautiful. I love this foiling set so much. So now you can see what it looks like. That aura foil is gold with an iridescent shimmer. I thought it'd be fun to watercolor over this. I'm using some watercolors that I received as a gift. They're so beautiful. And there are, any manner of watercolors that you could use on here, and when you watercolor, the foiling actually resists the watercolor. So if you have any that sits on top, once the watercolors dry, you can kind of buff that away, but mostly it resists it. And I just gave a really loose watercolor to mine. The watercolor I used has shimmer in it, so gorgeous, and that is going to go on my card with some foam squares over on the left hand side. And then I have space for a sentiment, so I am bringing in the Happy Mother's Day dies, and I'm going to die cut these with scraps left over from that same gel press print, and I'm really going to try to focus on the yellow parts and have my letters be mostly yellow, but it's more varied than if I would use just plain yellow cardstock. It's got more interest and texture to it, so I love that. I'm going to use a precision tip glue to glue these down onto the shadow layer, which I die cut from some heavyweight white cardstock. I love having that shadow layer. It's so cool. So all of these will have their own little shadow, and then I can start putting them together on my card. Now, you should know, this die set has the smallest die in all the land, this apostrophe right here, and it has a shadow for it. I think that's so cool. And then the S is separate, so you can build those to say Mother's Day, but then you also have the word mother, which is pretty cool. All right, we'll finish that off with day, and when I mount this on my card, though, I'm going to have that word happy overlap the floral piece a little bit, so I needed part of it to not have a foam on it, so I could glue that over the top of the flower, and the rest of it has the foam squares. And then I can fit in the word mother, and I'm going to glue the rest of my sentiment down. Just the happy is going to be popped up, and that allows me to kind of sandwich all those things in there together so they fit. Who knew you'd have trouble, you know, fitting everything on a slimline card? You have so much space, but I picked a big sentiment and a big flower. So there it is. I love this card because it's got that artsy feel to it with the watercoloring and that gel press, but it is time to add some iced aqua baubles to this, and I'm using my pickup tool to add them. I've got my little tidy tray there so I can easily pour those embellishments back into the container when I'm done. These two tools have really helped me love doing embellishments on my card. Like, I don't feel like, oh, I got to get that out. I got to put them back in. It's so hard to stick them down. Like, it saved me. And I love embellishments, so it makes me so happy. So there is my Mother's Day card. I loved this new die set. I love cover plate dies because they make card making so fast. Like, you could really just do the cover plate die, add a sentiment. It's beautiful enough that you don't have to do a ton of work if you don't want to. So I'm loving that about this cover plate die. So thank you for stopping by and letting me share a little sneak peek of one of the new products to come out on May 5th. You are going to love these things, and I can't wait for you to see the rest of them. So stay tuned to the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel because we'll be sharing sneak peeks all this week, coming week. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all again on the next video. Happy stamping! Bye!